And we're live. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lucy Gray, and I want to welcome you to Actionable Innovations Conversations. This is one in a series of conversations with interesting ed tech and educational innovation people from around the world that we have. And this is our last one for 2023, but we'll have a new series coming in 2024. The group that I work with is Actionable Innovations Global, and we produce this event. We just produced an event that I'll tell you about in a minute. But what we do is we connect and empower education-focused professionals worldwide through international professional learning and networking opportunities. Our aim is to change the world by providing meaningful and impactful learning experiences for all learners in support of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And our last event we just had is GLOW, which is Global Learning for an Open World. We had 1,100 registrants at our annual Global Education Conference, which just happened about 2 weeks ago. And the recordings are available to everyone through the end of December. So if you missed it, you can still go in and catch all the action. And there's the link that you can find the recordings and that sort of thing if you register. So that's still open. It will be through the end of December for free for everyone. And then for another 6 months for paid registrants, they can catch the recordings. It was a really great conference, and I hope that you'll take a look at it in your copious spare time. There were several sessions at GLOW on AI. So if you're particularly interested in that topic, you may want to look for those sessions as well. Today, we want you to follow us on social media. You can find us on these various platforms, and the easiest way to do it is to go to our link tree, which is linktree/actionableinno. Today, we'd like you, if you're here, and I see that that we might have a few people in the audience, please introduce yourself in the chat so that we know you're here. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your interest in AI is, and we'd like to know more about you. And then you can feel free to add your Twitter handle if you're still on X, I guess, and or your LinkedIn profile if you want to network with people. The whole purpose of this event is to kind of connect people who are interested in exploring various topics, and we want you to network as part of this. And if you have any insights or you want to invite other people to the session, you can use the hashtag ActionableInno as well. I'd like to introduce to you our guests. We have Davis Jones and Amy Morales, and Davis was part of our AI Impacted Ed conference on AI, our summit on AI in August. And so we're really excited to have him back and talk about something that's really new and exciting. Amy is a software developer and one of the co-founders of Easel.ai, if I'm pronouncing it correct, an AI platform for professionals. The group, this group was going to teach us today how to modify grading prompts so that these prompts can be customized for different classes, assignments, and grading rubrics. Davis is one of the more popular online trainers on the planet. He's one of the most popular online trainers on the planet. He is the founder of Easel, an online education company, and his clients include the UN, PayPal, and more than 500,000 students around the world. He's going to take us through the basics of AI models and prompt design as part of this webinar today. So we're excited to have you here. And I see that Nikki's in the audience. Hi, Nikki. Great to see you here. And I'm going to turn over to Davis. And thanks for coming, Davis and Amy. We're really excited to have you here. Let me get rid of my slides. And there we go. You're muted.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hi, I see Rhonda, Paula, Nikki. I'm sure if you're watching this in the future, some live stream, hello to you too, or some recording of it. Okay, I want to just start by thanking people like you guys for teaching our kids. I have some kids, and I was just talking to my wife last night about how one thing that we definitely know is meaningful in life is our kids and teaching them. And y'all are doing that. And I'm not going to spend that much time holding the floor on this. I guess the thing that I just want to set the tone for our conversation today is just that, I think there's a lot of fear in AI right now, or about AI, that it can eliminate people's jobs, that it is fundamentally anti-human, things like that. And what I hope to demonstrate to you today is that actually we can use AI to make a greater human impact than like in many ways we like ever thought possible. Basically through personalization, and I'll show you more about that when we get into the tech. But I'll just set the tone by like saying that like I frankly feel like this technology is like the opportunity of a generation. This is a paradigm shift in technology. It's like as important as the invention of the internet itself, and we're just getting started. And I think there's like so much we can do with this, and like we don't have all the answers, but we are definitely building cool stuff, and we're going to show you some of that. I want to give Amy a chance to basically like share a little bit about what AI means to her, how she got involved with this a little bit.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I grew up in a household with teachers. My mom's a teacher, my sister's a teacher, so I'm all about helping teachers, especially with AI. I think it's really interesting. When I found out about it, I was also scared at first, but then when I started researching kind of like how AI works, like under the hood, it became a lot less intimidating. So it's helped me a lot. It's made my workflow a lot easier, and it's kind of changed the way that I think about solving problems because I'm a coder, so I'm always trying to think of how to solve problems. And so using AI to help me solve those problems has kind of switched the way that I think about solving problems, which I think has made me more efficient, made me, sometimes a little bit quicker, or made me more open-minded. Um, I like to explain AI, like I think about like explaining it to like, let's say like my grandma or something. I always tell her like, just think of like if you're having trouble thinking of how to do something, but you know exactly what like the task you're wanting to do, you can, use AI as a tool to help you get to the answer. And a lot of times I like to tell people it's like you have to really explain what it is you're trying to do and like background information. Because like if you were to go up to somebody and say, hey, I need help with this, they'd be like, well, I need to know more information. I can't just give you an answer by you just saying I need help with this. So you have to think about like how would you explain some context to get an answer. So I always like to explain like AI is like something that can help you get things done. Maybe if you're like stuck or you're on a roadblock. Um, and yeah, I mean, I love AI. I'm excited about it. It's only going to get better. I'm currently learning like how it works under the hood, the nuts and bolts and things like that. And so, yeah, I'm just excited for AI and how we can help people use it in, a transformative way. So yeah, thanks for coming. I'm Amy Morales.
Okay, cool. So let me, Lucy, can you show my screen? I'm going to start presenting. So I'm going to like show you guys a way of thinking about the building blocks of AI. I'm going to introduce you to start with, I'm going to introduce you to two concepts that are really fundamental to understanding how you can use AI for your work in teaching. Okay, so one is the concept of a prompt. When you go into ChatGPT and you type in generate a recipe for muffins that uses carrots and buttermilk, that's your prompt. That's what you're prompting the technology to give you something back. Fundamentally, AI is not a chat-based interface. And fundamentally, AI means a lot of things. And what we're going to be talking about today is really large language models. That's what most of us interact with when we're interacting with things like ChatGPT and Claude. It's a large language model. It's about language. It's using specifically letters and words to predict what you want, basically. Okay. So when I say that fundamentally AI and specifically large language models isn't about chatting, I want you to know what actually happens when you're chatting. Okay. The backstory here is that the founders of OpenAI actually had this technology to begin with. Well, I mean, after they built the technology, they spent a long time thinking about how to make the technology useful for people, how to get people to use it. And they decided that the chat-based interface was the way to do that. So what actually happens when you're chatting with ChatGPT is that you're making a prompt, like, give me that muffin recipe. And the AI says, okay, here's your muffin recipe. And then you say, oops, I forgot. I want to put raisins in it. And then it goes and spits out the new recipe that's updated. But under the hood, what's happening is you've got that first prompt. You're saying, I want to make a muffin recipe. And then that result. And then when you say, I want to make raisins, I want to put raisins in it, what happens is the whole prompt, the whole everything, your initial prompt plus the response goes back to the model. So the chatting is done by the model reading the history of the conversation and then using that as context to understand what to say next. So, hey, what's up, Sarah? Oh, I think I connected with you on LinkedIn. Anyway, so the chat-based interface is actually a superimposition onto large language models. Fundamentally, under the hood, again, to chat with you, it's just looking at the history of the conversation as a way to predict what to say next. So why does this matter for you? Well, your prompt doesn't need to be designed to chat. In fact, for many of you, that is an inappropriate or it's not good enough for your professional use. What do I mean by that? Like, I'm going to show you a prompt here. I'll show you the beginning of the prompt we're going to be working with today. And I'll put it in the chat because I made this public so that you guys can all go and check it out as we work on it here. But like, I'll share this here in the chat for you guys. So I would actually encourage you to pull this up on your screens and like kind of poke around a little bit. Cool. So that link there will take you to what you see on my screen. But like this here, this is a prompt. You see it still going? Still going? Yeah, that's a prompt. The prompts can be very, very, very large, and it's getting even larger. So I told you I was going to explain two key things we're going to be talking about today. One is a prompt. What is a prompt? How big can prompts be? A prompt is any amount of language that you send to the large language model to get a response back. But there are limits, and that's called the context window. And so what I want you to be thinking about here is maybe you've been in this situation, and if you haven't, you can certainly imagine this. If you were to have a really long chat with ChatGPT, if you're to be like, hey, I want you to teach me about, the history of Napoleon, or, and then like it tells you something, you're like, all right, cool. Now zoom in on like his campaign in Egypt. And it goes in there and you go, oh, but I want you to tell me about, the pyramid construction, and it goes into that. And you kind of like keep going and going and going. Eventually, ChatGPT, if you go, hey, remember when you told me about how Napoleon was one of the innovators of cannon stuff? Go deeper on that. It might start giving you weird information. It might just kind of forget what you were talking about. And the reason is that sometimes your chat can run out of what they call the context window. That's the second concept, context window. The context window is how much text a large language model can consider when it generates your result. And this stuff is just getting better exponentially every day. So even 2 months ago, the context window was like 4,000 characters. 4,000 characters is, I think, about 2.5 pages worth of text. Okay, so like literally 2 months ago on ChatGPT, after 4,000 characters, it would start to forget what you were talking about. And that also means that like this prompt here that you're seeing on the screen It can't be more than 4,000 characters. You try to put it in ChatGPT and it'd be like, this is too long. I can't do this. Today, ChatGPT's model that has the biggest context window is like 228,000 characters. So like in the last 2 months, we went from 4,000 characters to like 228,000 characters. Has huge implications for like the way that you use this stuff, because 228,000 characters, it's like, I think somewhere like 220 pages worth of text. So just to like kind of start blowing your minds a little bit about like what you can do with prompts, like some stuff that we've been doing. When I'm doing some work, I'll go and buy a Harvard Business Review case study for $8. It's like 40 pages worth of text about some situation. And I'll be like, cool, this case study is related to the situation that I'm working on. And I will drop that case study into my prompt as a reference point for how I want the AI model to generate its results. I will be like, bunch of prompt stuff. Oh, and also look at that case study. When you tell me what you think, make sure it aligns with the themes that you see in that case study. Because at this point, like you can start adding like tremendous amounts of information into your prompt. And like, why does that matter for teachers? It's because like, like when I was in this conversation with Lucy and Actionable Innovations for the previous AI Summit, some really interesting points about like bias were brought up, for example. Like some people that were teaching in Columbia had a great point, which is that, the information that these models were trained on is the information of the internet. And I should qualify that for you, because ultimately I'm not really looking for anything from you guys. I'm just trying to like help us all get better. If you guys ultimately want to use the easel platform because you think it's totally fucking awesome, then like that's what I want. I don't want to try to sell you anything. And so what you should know about the training of the internet is that actually these models, it is a curated data set. It is not like we just took all the random web pages of the internet and trained the models. No, they said like, hey, Wikipedia is a more reputable source. Harvard is a more reputable source, etc. So it is a curated data set. But having said that, these folks in the conversation that we had with Lucy earlier this year pointed out that there's not much information on the internet from Colombia, the country of Colombia. Like Colombians are on the internet. They use Facebook, they use Instagram, but they don't publish a ton of blogs, not nearly the quantity of blogs or Reddit posts or whatever that the United States does or Canada does. And so they're underrepresented, and they're underrepresented in the models. And so that's a source of bias, right? When your context window is 4,000 characters, there's not a lot you can do about that. But when your context window is 228,000 characters, there's a lot you can do about that. You can start doing things like adding in sources of information, books, chapters, essays, thoughts, articles that are from the voices that you want the model to consider. I mean, honestly, this is a little bit hard for me because I don't see you guys. I hope that you guys are, I just am going to trust that you're there and try to picture your faces individually. But like, this is, hey, Tom, but like this, what I'm presenting to you today is about you. Like, we can be scared of AI, or we can see this as one of the biggest opportunities in human history for people like Tom and Valerius and Davis and Amy and Paula to hit way above your weight, and to personalize these things for your people in ways that you want to do. And some of the ways you do that is, for example, by putting really, whatever information you want into the context. So now I'm going to shift into a little bit of like the instructional part of how prompts work. And through that, you're going to get exposure to the easel app and what we're doing here. So what I've done here on this prompt that I shared with you is basically, we start at the top. Instructions. We consider the basic prompt design to have 3 parts: instructions, context, and output. Okay? So instructions are a relatively like simpler part of the prompt. I'll click into this so you can see what I'm talking about. So like, here are some instructions for you. Provide accurate and factual answers. Let me see something that would be, okay, like avoid the use of flowery language. For example, I have found that especially when you use ChatGPT's models, they'll say things like, your essay was a bounty of wonderful language. And like, people don't talk like that. And like, I don't want to see in my responses, like, I don't want my students to see something that says, your essay was a bounty of wonderful language. Like, so in my instructions, I say, don't use flowery language. So basically, you should think of instructions as general rules for the model to follow when it's evaluating your prompt. The bulk of your prompt is going to be the context part, which is all the background information that you need to give the model for it to be able to generate good results for you. I love the analogy that Amy brought in earlier. Think of it like this. Like, let's say like Tom. So like, let's say Tom is teaching a course on Colombian history in the 19th century. And he is walking around a university campus in Colombia. And he runs into a history professor. And he says, hey, I was wondering who the most impactful figures in Colombia are. He'd be like, oh, well, how long have you got? Because like, there's a lot of people, right? Like, yeah. So like this person, there's a lot, like maybe I'll pick two and tell you, okay, cool. But like, imagine if Tom had expanded his question more. Hey, I'm Tom. I'm a professor. I'm teaching fourth graders. And I'm teaching fourth graders about Colombian history in the 19th century. And right now, we're talking about this particular political event that happened in this decade. And we're also focusing on the role of women in that political event. Who are the most impactful figures in that context? The professor is going to be equipped with the information that he or she needed to give Tom the information that Tom is looking for. So that's the role of context. Is like, think about it, think about what I just shared with you as an analogy, and then think about it in computer terms. Imagine if you could then provide so much context that it would have taken Tom 5 hours to deliver the context to that history professor. And then the history professor would have remembered everything when it gives its response. That's another thing I think y'all should know about, like, basically the advantage of AI. So like, when DeepMind, which is Google's AI company, basically, when they figured out how to make an AI that beat the world champion chess player, human champion chess player, the biggest advantage that the AI had over the human is that it remembers literally everything. It remembers literally every move that the opponent has made in this game and has made in every other game that the opponent has ever recorded. And like, so it's not necessarily that it's like smarter, it's that it remembers, it has more data to work with. And so that's why I'm proposing to you, like here, like building this context out, that is where you as professors teachers are going to leverage your skills and like build your ability to give better stuff to your students. Yeah, Lucy's talking about Claude. Claude is a very good model that we use a lot. All right, cool. So let me walk you through the context part of this prompt. So I'm going to actually start here. So as the example today, this, and I'll put this link here in the chat. But this is, as you see here, it's like the Texas State expository scoring guide for English 1. So this is honestly like honestly, you guys, for y'all as teachers, you are in maybe the best position of anybody on the planet to take advantage of AI. Because so much of this stuff is publicly accessible information. Like, you literally have the state of Texas telling you the scoring rubric with examples. Detailed, what is the scoring rubric? Detailed, here's an example essay. Here's an example score and why. And like, of course you can customize it for your own use cases, but you have so much information that literally would be very easy. I was able to build this prompt I'm going to show you here in about 45 minutes. And like, so let me walk you through it a little bit. All right. And you're going to learn a couple prompt design skills that are not hard, but they're going to level up your skills to like way beyond what like almost anybody's doing today. So, all right, these tags, see this like scoring in between the scoring tags. What this does is it tells the AI model, I'm not talking to you, I'm giving you information. Because like you see here, when I say in between the scoring tags, you'll find the scoring, I'm talking to the model. The model's like, you're telling me something. You're telling me what to do. But then when I set this information in between these scoring tags, it's like, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm giving you data. I'm giving you data to consider. So you need to be able to separate out the data from you talking to the model. You know, it's like if in the example of Tom talking to that history professor, he was like, hey, hold on, let me share the syllabus with you. Here it is. And he hands the syllabus to that professor. Like, that's the same role as the tags, right? Because if he's like, hey, and there's this syllabus, and then he just like keeps talking and like reading the syllabus, it's going to sound weird, right? Like, so the same thing with the models. They need to know that you're giving it information. And then when you combine this idea of like these tags that encapsulate some information with this thing you've seen in every contract ever, hereafter the scoring guide, now, whenever you talk about the scoring guide, the AI knows what you're talking about. So you don't have to say, remember that scoring guide that I put in there earlier? You just say capital S scoring, capital G guide, and the AI is like, cool. I know what you're talking about. So this is like, and that's not complicated. Okay, and then the third skill that you need. So you've already covered 2 skills. One, put tags in. You can name them anything. There's no rules. You could call this in between the sandwich tags. It doesn't matter. And then here, these hashes, super easy. This is really easy. 1 hash means title. 2 hashes, subtitle. 3 hashes, subtitle. That's it. You know, it's giving a hierarchy to the text. So that when you say the title of this information is the scoring guide, this is one category. And then you're like, cool, in this category, here's the organization/progression standards of this category. Here's the development of idea standards of this category. And it knows that because it's got 3 hashes, you know? It's like nested in that section. You now know how to write. That's all you need to write great prompts. Maybe some handlebars, which I'll show you at the end of it, but pretty much that's it. Okay, cool. So in this prompt, we've got basically the scoring guide. Now, I took this from that link that I shared with you earlier, but like this could be your scoring guide. It could be any, you know, you generate this. Like this is for 8th graders, but like you do this stuff all day, right? Like you create scoring guides of all sorts of stuff. Basically, this is the assignment, you know? This is the assignment. Here's how I'm going to grade you. That's what that is right there. And in this case, that's one part, the scoring guide. Now, what's really going to make it effective for you is when you're able to go and do some examples. That's the next section I put into this prompt. So, I mean, here I say like, now I'm going to provide you, so you can see this is outside of the tags. This is me talking to the AI again, right? I'm going to provide you with some examples. In between the instructions tags, you're going to see the instructions. Here after the instructions, simple. And these examples are associated with some essays, their scores, and the explanations of their scores, the examples. All right, cool. So there are the instructions. So now, whenever in the prompt you say capital I instructions, it knows you're talking about this. Now, in the examples, it's just like literally example 1, and these come straight from here. Right there. Okay, cool. Now I'll show you something cool. This is unique to this particular assignment, but I think you'll like this. So here, let's see, I think it's up here. Yeah. In consumer grade ChatGPT, you can just take a screenshot of that text, the handwriting, and be like, cool, identify the capital letters, boom. All right, cool. There it is. That's what they wrote in text. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I got more of them, more students writing. There it is. Boom, in plain text. So you probably won't need that. I needed that in this case, but you should know that you can do that. It can be helpful sometimes. Most of the times, from what I understand working with teachers, you're going to get this stuff digitally anyway. You're going to get it in some digital, LMS or something that's going to be like, here's what, Jose said or whatever. So anyway, you don't have to give examples, but I think examples are going to really take you to the next level. So, in the case of this particular prompt, we had the examples from here, the state standards. But how would this work for you? How would this work for Sarah? Or, I think Sarah, I don't know I think you're more of like an administrator and innovator, but I'm not sure if you have students. But anyway, let's say Sarah's teaching, 10th graders. So what you can do here, if you don't have examples, is you can make them. You can grade 3 papers, according to the rubric, break it down in a similar way. Here's the essay content. Here's how I scored them. Here was my rationale. That's one example. It's your example. You're the grader, right? And you can do that 3, 4, 5 times. And then after that, you can do 25 of your students. If you're in college, your college professor, 230 of your students, and the AI will be able to refer back to those examples to be able to see how you grade, right? Cool. So 1,500, yes. So you could be like let's say you're like giving feedback on resumes, right? You could like pick like an excellent resume, a medium, a poor resume. Maybe you do that. Maybe you do 6 of them. Maybe you do two great ones, 2 medium, 2 poor ones, and then you create the examples of them. Like you could scale personalized feedback for those 1,500 students this way. Like, all right, cool. So this part of the prompt is all the examples, and I straight up just like lifted them out of the Texas standards. And then finally, we'll get down here, and I say here's the essay. So in between the essay tags, this is the actual student's essay. And Sarah, for your, I figured you were talking about kids, but like for me, I do a lot of professional development stuff. And when you said PD, I was like, oh, professional development. Anyway, so if you guys were using this platform, Easel, then you can make this a placeholder. And then like you can programmatically, you can send like 1,500 individual essays and be like, and use your prompt to do it at scale. But it's easy to just do this. You could do this with Microsoft Word. You don't have to you could go and copy this prompt. I'll show you here. Copy to clipboard. Look at what this looks like. So like if we do a new Google Doc, there's our prompt, 12 pages worth of stuff. You can totally do this. And then all you have to do is go here, copy and paste the essay. Here, let's do it. I'll show you guys, but it'll be fun. You'll think this is neat. Okay, cool. Actually, what we're going to do here is let's go to the bottom. So this wasn't one of the examples. This is, it's not one of the examples in our prompt. So our prompt does not know this essay at the moment, okay? So then we're going to go here and just paste it in. All right, cool. So paste in that essay, copy it again, Control C, Control V. We'll go over here to ChatGPT. And I'll get to how you structure the output, but just so you see what's going on here. This is ultimately what we're going to get to. The score, so it's in this Texas state standards, it's like, 1 to 4. You can get either 1, 2, 3, or 4. And in addition to providing the way that the state standards evaluate, which is they give you scoring, I decided it would be good if we added in some personalized feedback. So even better if. And so like, look, it gets into the specific example. Well, the personal example of swimming is compelling. Incorporating additional elements of perspective would enrich the essay. And it's getting down to like specific writing coaching for that student. And that's what we're going to get to. And I'll show you how we do that now. All right, cool. By the way, Lucy, you're like one of the best people on the planet. I love you. All right, cool. So all right, cool. So like basically you put the essay in, and then the way the prompt is designed, you're like, cool. Now a student has submitted the essay, capital E essay, because up here you said essay, capital E. So now it's like, cool. That's what you're talking about. Now a student has submitted the essay. It was written after the student had received the same instructions, capital I, as you see in the examples, capital E. You know what I mean? I want you to help me grade the essay according to the scoring guide, capital S, capital G, and give helpful feedback to the writer of the essay. So, and then actually, this is one of the reasons why maybe you guys would want to be a member of the Easel platform. There's this thing that we're finding out all sorts of stuff about these AI models, but you'll see here, please do a good job. These students worked really hard on their essays. So they have found, research has started to show that if you put an emotional appeal into the prompt, that the AI models will actually generate better results. And I don't know, another thing that you should know that's like kind of crazy about AI is like actually the people who built these models, they don't exactly know how the AI comes up with the answers it comes up with, which like even like literally the engineers. So like we're kind of like finding out about the technology as we like do it. All right, cool. So you tell the AI, I want you to help me give feedback on these essays. And then you say, you'll do this by filling out the following form for me, according to the directions I provide. So here is that same structure. It's called Markdown, but like one hash, that's the big header. So when you look in ChatGPT, steady progress, a satisfactory essay. Why did it come up with that? Well, because you said here, create a title for this feedback form that summarizes their scoring result and doesn't exceed 40 characters. So this handlebars thing, you don't have to use this, but this is a way that I like to basically tell the AI to come up with something on the fly and put it in those handlebars. And where does that come from? All the way at the top, the instructions right here. When you see handlebars, do that. And you guys don't have to know all this stuff because like honestly, you could just like copy this prompt and then like you could use these form instructions. Anyway, but that's where that comes from. All right, cool. Now let's go through the rest of the output. It is kind of like coding, but the thing is, it's like coding with language, Lucy. And actually, one of the things that I think is interesting that like maybe would be worth you guys talking about with your students and even your administrators, especially if you get pushback on the whole STEM thing. Look, I'm a programmer. Amy is a programmer. Like, we are advocates of STEM. But let me tell you, are you here to have lunch with us? Okay, cool. So anyway, is that with AI, your language has to be specific. Yeah, I know I'm in a co-working space and we got a candidate coming in here at noon. So this is a time, ironically, when actually it's like your language skills, being able to be articulate and very specific, pay off in a big way. So that's an argument that like I think needs to be made and it needs to be integrated into our conversation about how we teach kids, because their ability to write and think critically and be specific, those are the skills needed to use AI models, not the ability to like program in JavaScript. And I'm not saying they shouldn't learn to program in JavaScript, like, whatever, they should do that. I mean, if they want, I guess. But like, I'll show you here, like, cool. So then what happens after we do the title? Here, create a subtitle section that will tell the writer what they did well. Make it positive, reassuring, and encouraging, and ensure it doesn't exceed 40 characters. So that is the subtitle here. Positive and clear thesis. Tells them what they did well in a title. And then below the title, because we did this here, there's a new line. Here, generate 3 bullet points that highlight, according to the scoring guide, capital S, capital G, what the student did well in the essay, capital E. Make these bullet points encouraging. We want these students to learn to love writing and thinking critically. And then the AI model then generated 3 bullet points that are aligned with what was in the scoring guide, like in your rubric, right? Any rubric, doesn't have to be the scoring guide. And then here, assign a score. And I can show you here that, let's look at the example here. Cool. So this is this example. We've all been there. And then I think this is, let me find this example. Here it is. This is the actual essay that we just scored. And like, let me just show you that this was graded a 3 in the state examples. This was not an example in the prompt, but the AI graded it a 3, which aligns exactly with the grading that the AI found. And I can show you even more. I worked on this morning. Here are the results that we've got here. Might take a second to pull up, but spoiler alert, the AI got it right every single time. It's like 10 for 10. Oops. Is that the right one? Oh, it's the test. Sorry, I'm on the wrong prompt here. So like, I just say that to point out that like the AI got it right every single time. It scored it exactly right. Let me see what you're doing here. Oh, this, here we go. This. There we go. And then results. Where did I get the right results? Okay. Now let's see if it'll do it. Okay, there they are. Yeah, so I generated this on platform a few times, and then I also did it through the models. But like, here's another one. So this was a different example of generating, but this was a 3, and this was done with a different AI model. This Palm 2, that's Google's AI models. This is one that was done with ChatGPT 4, 3. This is OpenAI's model. And let's see if we did Claude 2. Yep, we did. Oh yeah, Claude didn't work with this prompt. But like every single time I generated this test, it hit a 3. All right, cool. So just like finishing out here, these things were structured similarly. The scoring rationale. I told it, please enumerate your rationale using the style, tone, length, and other characteristics that you see in the scoring rationale sections as you see in the examples. So like, I think that like, especially y'all, it's like, you can do this stuff. Like all you're doing is literally being like, here's the assignment. Here's the scoring rubric. Here's some examples of me grading. Now pop in the essay and then output it in this way. So if you remember, I told you in the earlier part of this chat, what's the structure? Instructions, context, output. So let's go through it again. Instructions, everything below here, all the way down to here is context. Oh, more context because there's the essay. Here's the output. Here's when I move into output. What do I want you to do? So that's it. Instructions, context, output. So that's basically what I wanted to show you guys today. There's a like I'll just end by my bit here. like by sharing that, like we've talked to a lot of teachers. One of the big things that we think that you could really use this for, like if I created an AI product, it would be to help you out with accommodations. Because what we know is that a lot of teachers are trying to handle students with um, diverse learning needs. And I know that it can lead to teacher burnout because you're having to personalize lessons and lesson plans for students. And you could basically do it all automatically. You could save yourself so much time using tools like this. And I frankly feel like if more teachers would embrace what's going on here and see this as an opportunity to give better feedback and personalized training to their students, like I think that you could make a bigger impact than you ever thought you would ever be able to do. Way bigger than you ever imagined. So I'd like to like basically transition this to like any like Q&A, like see if you guys have any questions, because that's pretty much my spiel. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. This is really powerful. So I guess what would be helpful for me, just thinking about this, is so people can join your platform for free. They can access a library of prompts and edit them, and copy them and edit them and making them their own. Is there it would say, I think it looks to me like it would take some time to create your own prompt from scratch. So the more examples that teachers have, the better. So that's, I think that would be helpful if there's more. The other
So
thing
this one's public.
okay.
If you go to that link, you can basically like when you go to this link, you can go duplicate prompt, and that'll put it in your account. And you can tweak it, you can modify it. Once you got it in your account, you can go here, or you can duplicate from there. So if you duplicate it, then you can duplicate from there, and you can build out your prompt library.
Okay.
And the free tier gets you like I think 10 prompts that you can have up here, and
Okay.
then you can just copy paste. You can just go here and just copy, and then go to ChatGPT and paste in.
Okay.
You don't have to pay.
So so that's a really good way to kind of like get your feet wet with it. I think if you're thinking about the product development in the long run, I think I could see schools like internally having their own library. Like maybe they don't want to make their prompts public to everyone, and they want to create things that are custom for their
Oh yeah, you don't have to be
their
like most of my
institution.
prompts are not public.
Yeah, that would be, the ability for people to have a shared private library within a school
Oh,
would
that's
be
cool.
awesome.
So by default, you can share with as many people as or as few as you want. So I didn't really get into like all the features of the platform because I kind of wanted to show you guys about prompt stuff in general. But basically, with any of these prompts, like so, this is the test prompt. It's not public. If it's public, you'll see this published by over here. This is not public. So here I go and collaborate, and I'm like, cool. I'm going to add Amy. I think she's an existing collaborator. Yeah, there she is. So like add Amy. So now Amy has access to the prompt and to all these notes. So how could you use this? Like in your department, you could be like, cool, here are our grading standards. Here are our learning priorities. Here are our themes of the month. Here are our themes of the week, like that kind of stuff. And then the magic of this particular platform is that like here we spend a lot of time on the prompts. This platform is built around these notes.
Yeah.
So like I showed you these custom instructions for forms. And like you can see here, there's a number of collaborators on this. So like Lucy, if you and I were collaborating to build out like a prompt for like grading for some purpose, then like maybe this note is like our grading priorities, or our examples. Like maybe you have a library of examples, and then like you get a good example, and then so like I'm Lucy now on the app, and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna add in like this example. So you go here and you're like, boom, like Lucy's new example. And then you're like, here's my new example. And then when you do that and you save it, that new example is going to go into every single prompt where those examples are used. It's now updated.
Wow.
So, you can collaborate with your people. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And your prompts remain stable.
Yeah. So Paula was asking if, this is being recorded, so we'll send everybody who registered, the link to where it is, and if it's going to be on YouTube right away when we're done publishing. So that's there, and you had the tool is free, Paula, up to 10 prompts, so you can play with it as much as you want to. So that's one thing. And then Nick, who's a higher ed person, has a great question here too. Nick, what do people get wrong when trying to use AI for grading?
I don't know, honestly. I think this stuff is so new. I don't really think that people are doing much of this yet.
Yeah.
I would just suggest that what they're doing wrong with AI for grading is they're not getting these skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they're doing is they're putting an essay in ChatGPT and saying, help me grade this, maybe with some minimal context. And they're saying, like either A, yes, this is the grade, give it to the student, or B, this is garbage, it's not good enough. But actually, what's not good enough is their prompt. They're not developing these skills. And I put this thing here, this easel.link/demo. You guys can all take a free demo with us. We have demos, and like go and pick a time, and you and I and whoever, I think we allow up to 5 people demo at a time. And like you don't have to pay. I'll demo you the platform. I'll show you like the bits and bobs of like how you build prompts and stuff. And then you can be like, hey, I think this is worth it for me to, join the platform. I'll tell you what that looks like, what the pricing is. And we'll make deals for teachers. I'll basically give it to teachers at cost. AI is a little different than like a typical like software as a service, because we actually have to pay when we use AI, because it's very computationally and energy expensive. So like, yeah, we do have to actually have costs. And so like basically to just like tell you, it'd probably be a minimum of about $150 a year for you to be a member of the platform, and you'd get AI design coaching. We would help you do your prompts. You get access to office hours. We build these prompts with you for your use case. And ultimately, I think what you should find is that like you'll get way more value than that. You'll save tons of hours, and you'll be able to make a bigger impact. And honestly, you'll future proof your skills, because like this stuff is, look, this is strategically dominant. This is not optional. Like people that use this will win, and people who don't will fall behind. It's the story of human history. Technologies come, they are so important that you have to adopt them or you get overtaken. And let's make you the person who's empowered rather than being replaced by some like computer. Because the alternative is that we like automate all this stuff, and then we're really letting robots educate our kids. Instead, what we should be doing is having Patrick and Nick using this stuff in a personalized way where their human capabilities, the way they see the world, is being used at scale, rather than us saying, let's let an AI propose a lesson to this student because they got that question wrong. And now we're like letting, like Pearson, like use a robot to educate our kids. Like to me, that's garbage.
Right. And this can be customized in order to do that. I think the other piece of this too is that people have to have some basic understanding of what good assessment looks like too. Like, schools where I'm thinking particularly in the independent school world where I've largely worked, where you're using, understanding by design and creating rubrics, to assess student work in thoughtful ways. I could see this being really, 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 really powerful, and helping teachers develop that mindset that they can create something that's going to, work with their way of doing things, their philosophy.
Exactly. So your humanity is at scale, not a computer program.
Yeah. Here's another comment. How would you use this as a tutor with 22 Ts?
So I'll show you. Yeah. Like, so, okay, cool. So like there's this prompt here, this Victoria coaching plan.
Yeah.
And I think this is when I talk to business people, this is what really turns lights on in their mind a lot. So like basically, this is one of my employees, Victoria, and I know that I need to invest in my people, and they want that, and they deserve it. They're good, and they come to work, and like I want them to get better and better. It's one of our values, like at our company, is like want the best for your team, everybody in your team. And coaching is hard. Coaching takes time. You know, like, and I have 2 little kids. I got a 1-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and I got 2 businesses. Like, I have negative time, and I'm sure you guys can all relate.
Mhm.
And so, Patrick, what do you do with these 20 students? Well, what I would do specifically is I would be like, build out a prompt. I would have them as a collaborator on a note. So like this bit here, like here you see Victoria's results. So like, let's say one of the kids you tutor is like Sarah. So you'd be like, maybe whatever you're working on with Sarah, like if it's writing, you'd be like, you know, give me like Sarah, you have an assignment to write 2 journal entries a week. And I want you to put them in this note and put like date, journal entry, date, journal entry, date, journal entry. And then Sarah's responsibility is to keep that note building out. Your responsibility, Patrick, is to like build out the output, remember, instructions, context, output, to manage this output section down here where you're like, this is going to be like Sarah's writing coaching plan. And then what you're going to do is build out an output structure that looks at the progression of her writing and gives her tailored coaching recommendations week by week. So like, because the AI can help you with that. It'd be like, I noticed like in the entry on November 30th that you were using this structure.
Mhm.
Next week, I want you to practice using a varied sentence structure. And like, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to, Patrick, say like, I read all of her journal entries and did this. Instead, you're like, I managed it. I looked at what the coaching plan is. And then if you say, hey, I need to like zoom in on that, then maybe you even are seeing how to coach Sarah by using the AI to help you find out how you should coach her. Because maybe where you can actually find the delta for Sarah is on coaching her on varied sentence structure rather than you thinking about coaching her on varied sentence structure. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like this stuff can be done at scale. You can do this programmatically week by week, send her an email, make a draft email for all of my 20 people every week, make a draft email for all my 20 people and another draft for all their parents so that the parents know what the kids are being coached on. Like, I hope that to conclude this hour, your minds are fucking blown. You can do so much more with this stuff than you ever imagined. You are the limiting factor now.
Yeah.
This stuff can be you exponentially. You are the limiting factor. This stuff is a massive opportunity.
Wow. Wow. I'm also thinking about report cards in schools that require narratives about students. And if you had some sort of log, like you're talking about here, some sort of record of student input, then you might be able to pull out some insights into what they're learning that are really specific too.
Parent strengths and weaknesses. What you can have the parents on a note. Hey parents, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Like,
Yeah.
are you a good writer? Are you good at math? What's your job like? Because the AI can take all that into consideration and be like, your parent is a teacher. They are a teacher in this subject. Why don't you work with them to write on this subject? And like, you don't have to imagine that. Like, you can let the AI do that. You are the strategic thinker. You are up here now. It's all about you and your strategy. Down here are the computers that do these things that used to take you hours. Personalizing accommodations reports, personalizing feedback. Now the computer can help you with that and enables you to elevate your thoughts up to here.
So it's the top of the hour, and I know that you have something else going on. So what are the next steps that you recommend for people who are listening in terms of digging into easel? What would you
do
like
a demo?
Okay.
Do a demo with us, or go and copy that prompt and just start playing around with it. Just like, go and make a prompt, copy it, paste it into ChatGPT, start seeing the results. And honestly, look at this as an example for an opportunity for transparency. This is not you saying, I don't like, I did this grading and I'm magic. No, own it. Own that you're using AI. And if you need to, talk to your students, talk to like your lead students or like your co-teachers or people that you work with and say, this is what I'm doing. Do you see opportunities for us to improve this prompt? How we're doing this? Like, don't keep it in the shadows. Bring it out into the open and make the conversation about how you do things rather than what you do.
I love it. It's great. One suggestion is that you offer a course, since you do a lot of online teaching, I think it would be
We're going to
great.
do that. I know.
I do an online
It's coming,
course in
Lucy.
prompt writing.
Yeah,
think
yeah,
people
totally. It's
will
we're gonna
enjoy
do it specific for teachers, and we'll call you. We want you there.
Great. Awesome. That's great. Okay. If you guys have any other comments or questions for Davis and Amy, guys, put your email addresses in the chat so people can contact you. I put their links to their LinkedIn profiles at the beginning of this too, so you can find them. And we'll and please reach out and think about what the possibilities are for your institution using this. I think there's a lot of potential, and I'm just starting to get to know AI and what the possibilities are too. I think we all are kind of in the same boat, and I have not seen anything that does like something like this yet. And so I think this is much more than just using a tool. It's being able to create the tool yourself, basically.
Yes, it's you being
Yeah.
originally empowered. It's not like push this button and make a grade. It's like, no, like Patrick can do Patrick, and like Paula can do Paula. Like, it's for you.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for your time today, everyone. We appreciate it. And we're going to start back up in January with more actionable innovations conversations. So come back and see us then. Thanks for coming, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, bye, Lucy.